Welcome to Just a Cup on Believe. I'm Brian Fetzer. This is an organic conversation with the world's greatest athletes and the coaches that coach them. And we're going to have a conversation just as if we were sitting in your favorite coffee shop somewhere, having a cup of coffee, having a cup of tea, and just talking it up. And today I have an incredible guest. Cherelle Thompson is from Trinidad and Tobago. And if you don't know where that is, we're going to talk about that and kind of get a little bit of insight on it. Charelle was a two-time All-American at the University of Tennessee, and she was in the 2020 Olympic Games in Tokyo and just recently at the World Aquatics Championships. And I'm excited to talk, swimming and talk Trinidad, one of my favorite places I've ever been in my life. Love the food, love the culture. Charelle, welcome to Just a Cup.
Glad to be here. Thank you so much, Brian.
Yeah, hey, you got to tell me this. Trinidad, when I think, Trinidadian sports, the things that I think of right away, track and field, obviously because I coach track and field, soccer or football, and cricket. Swimming is not something that a lot of Caribbean athletes seem to, be drawn to. How did you become drawn to swimming in the first place?
Swimming, that's a good point that you brought up with football or soccer, as most Americans know it. Soccer, cricket are the top sports that athletes or that young people get into in Trinidad. And I grew up playing soccer and cricket on the streets in my community. But swimming was introduced to me during kindergarten. And I remember being excited each week. It was once a week we would go to a pool and got introductory lessons to learn how to swim. And that was the highlight for me each week. And I remember sitting at the edge of the pool, being taught how to kick, blowing bubbles, and the water felt just like home to me. I loved playing in the water, being in the water, and from there, the passion for the sport developed after being exposed to learning the different strokes and traveling with my family to the US for summer vacation and participating in a summer swim program in the US. It was Virginia at the time. So that was my start.
Were any of your parents swimmers? Did they have a fond affiliation?
Not at all. Actually, only last year my mom showed herself to have mastered the freestyle, and my parents know how to float, but learning how to swim, moving from one end of the pool to the next, is not something that either of them can do well. But sport has been a big part of my family life because my sisters and I am the eldest of three, and the eldest of four. Sorry, I have three younger sisters, and we were all introduced to the sport of swimming. We all know how to swim, but we also were exposed to other sports, and 3 out of the 4 of us represented Trinidad and Tobago nationally. 2 of us did it in swimming. Yeah, two of us represented the country in swimming, and one of my sisters represented the country in volleyball, and she's a professional volleyball player.
Where does she play professional volleyball?
Yes.
Where does your sister play volleyball? What country?
Currently, she is in France, but she has been all over Europe and parts of Asia playing professionally.
What an incredible athletic family. Your parents have to be like stoked hey, one thing I've always said about athletes, to be a great athlete, you have to have 2 great athletic gene parents. And clearly, man, that's pretty awesome.
Maybe there was some dormant genes in my family line that are now being expressed and now being utilized in my generation.
I can see that.
If you speak to my uncle, he would make claim to the genes coming from him because he dabbled in a bit of volleyball when he was a young man. And my mom, she would say she did track during her secondary or high school days as a student. So, it depends on who you talk to.
That's awesome. That is fantastic. So, but in Trinidad, you're qualifying for like Olympics and World Championships and those kind of events. How is the system there at a relatively small country? Is it just you hit a standard, or do you have to have the national trials and have to win out like in some countries?
Yeah, that's a good question. It varies from country to country. And generally in the Caribbean region, we have nationals, but in order to qualify for the Olympic Games, because our population of the country is relatively small, 1.2 million people, but only a fraction of that would include the athletes that participate in swimming. The process is to meet the qualification standard that has been set out by the World Aquatics. And we have a deadline in which to achieve that qualification standard, which is always June of the Olympic year. Mm-hmm. And depending on whether you have athletes achieving the A qualifying standard, or if athletes achieve the B qualifying standard, that will determine whether the country is allowed one or two participants in the event. So currently we have one A qualifying athlete in swimming, Dylan Carter, and so it means that any athlete after that needs to achieve the A qualifying standard to join him in that event. And in the female side, we currently have no qualifiers. So the World Aquatics has allowance for athletes achieving or who have not achieved a qualification standard, but to allow for representation and inclusion across genders and countries. I will be eligible to participate, but it's then up to the country to determine whether or not they will allow their athletes to
federation.
When is your next? My goal for me, my goal is to achieve the A qualifying standard so that there is no subjectivity.
There's no question. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. When is the next time you'll compete? I think sometimes individuals that aren't so familiar with certain sports that aren't on TV constantly.
All the time. Yes.
Like swimming, like where are meets, when are meets, that you can compete in.
Yeah, if you're in the Pan American region, we currently have the last of 3 in the TYR Pro Series meet. Mm-hmm. That will be taking place in San Antonio, Texas this weekend, where I hope to be competing. And following that, Trinidad will have our nationals, our open national long course meet in May. And finally, we have a couple meets in the region. There's Central American and Caribbean Games in Mexico, Bahamas Nationals, and Barbados, I believe, has a national meet in June as well. So a few options for that final qualification opportunity in the Caribbean region.
I know the Trinidad just hosted Carifta, the Carifta Games, which I know that was for track and field.
Carifta.
Oh,
yeah, we just participated in Carifta. So actually, Trinidad is carded to host Carifta Games next year. We have a few things to put in place for 2025, but it will be the first time in 2025 if we do host Carifta Games, which is really big in our region for the age group athletes. Yes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it brings so much more awareness, to a sport because mm-hmm. of the media attention and media coverage. What is that kind of coverage like? You kind of growing up and, you competing for your country in the Olympics, which I think is one, if not the greatest achievement somebody can have an opportunity to do. What was that like when you made the Olympic team in 2020 and getting to represent your home?
Yeah. I mean, that had been a lifelong dream to represent my country at the highest level of sports at the Olympic Games. And the journey there was one that was incredibly life transforming, I would say. And it was an incredible growth journey for me. Just thinking back to where I began at 4 years old in kindergarten, and my first national representation at the Curved Games for Trinidad and Tobago, all the way to college. For me, when I achieved the qualification standard and my name was announced as part of the contingency going to Tokyo, it represented not only my efforts and the sacrifices and the challenges that I've overcome over the years, but it also represented the team of support that has been behind me over the years, from my family to my college team to my church family to people who I've met along the way. And for me, that journey to Tokyo, I learned so many lessons just from that.
What was the lesson you learned? What was the lesson you learned from that?
One of the big ones was that success and the journey to a destination, it's more about the journey than the destination itself. And while it's really easy to focus on the next goal or the ultimate result or outcome that I have been working towards as an athlete, sometimes being fixated on that and just keeping blinders on would cause me to miss the amazing blessings that I have around me, and the people, the relationships, the beauty of some of the places I've been able to visit, to travel to. It was easy to be missed because I am disappointed about my current performance, or I was trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for my next competition, or I am trying to analyze what tweaks I can make at my next meet to get faster and move on to the next round. So for me, that journey to Tokyo, one of the biggest lessons that I took away was to value that journey to the destination and to really soak in all that I can on the way there, because the race, the event, that final destination that I've been working towards, it represents such a minute fraction of time compared to how long I spent getting there.
Well, 50 meter free. But 50 meter free is quick. It's that's bang, you're done.
Of them all. It's a splash and dash. It's a splash and dash. I love it. It's exhilarating. It is, one of the most fun races, not only to watch but also to compete in. Arguably, but that's my preference. And when you get behind the blocks, before you blink, like I said, the race is over. So there was so many relationships, so many places I was able to be exposed to experience, and so many things I learned as an athlete and as a young woman as well, that I've been able to take with me from that journey. Yeah.
You are listening to Just a Cup on Believe. If you've enjoyed the podcast so far, please subscribe, like, comment, share. It's how we continue to grow this audience. Remember, it's every team, every topic. This is Believe. I am Brian Fetzer. I have with us Cherelle Thompson. And you mentioned just a few minutes ago when you were talking about, places you've gone, destinations. Well, I want to kind of dive into it. What is your favorite destination or place that you have an opportunity to visit as a global sports athlete?
Yeah. That's a tough one. Between Dubai and Italy, those two places are actually one of the most amazing places on the world that I have visited.
Dubai comes up a
Dubai's
lot.
architecture, yes. Dubai's architecture is literally out of this world. And just that whole Emirates, United Arab Emirates region, UAE region, um, they are really on the cutting edge in terms of architectural facilities, their structure. They're competing with China and places like Korea as well. So the facilities there were really spectacular to witness. And in Italy, that was amazing, but for a different reason, because of the rich history and the way that they've held on to architectural structures that have been in existence for over thousands of years. So,
were you a big fan of Italian food? I mean, did you what is your go-to food? I mean, every athlete has their preferences. Now, I know in Trinidad, there's some incredible food. I mean, you got a little bit of the Spanish, kind of culture, some of the Latin culture, the Caribbean culture of food. It's kind of this kind of melting pot of food. At least I remember.
Well, thank you for making that introduction, opening that door for me to share about our Caribbean and Trinidadian food, because I do enjoy a good meal, and I am a person that when I sit with my meal, I am really taking, especially when I try a new restaurant or I try a new dish, I'm thinking about the flavors that are coming together and how it may have been prepared. And I'm critiquing as though, I were a judge on the panel of Iron Chef or panel. So
you might have a guest spot later. You might need to get a guest spot on Iron Chef later.
They need to. They have an athlete vision or a healthy eating.
That's a good idea.
They could definitely have some Olympic athletes come on to be part of the judging panel. Definitely will sign me up.
What is your favorite? What's your favorite food?
My favorite food in general is actually pizza. So I don't recall having Italian pizza when I was there.
Really?
That is the irony. I think when we did our tour, I remember seeing a couple of spots, but I wanted to be on the safe side before I was competing and I didn't have the time afterwards to go again. So Italy is actually on my bucket list to return to again in the future. But in Trinidad, to talk more about our culture, our cultural dishes, we do a lot of ground provision. So family to the potatoes and yams and stuff like that. And we have generally a typical Caribbean meal is such heavy, but I like to share or promote with among my friends and family and even through my social platforms about the balancing of colors and the balancing of flavors as well. So they're looking to utilize all of the beautiful natural colors that you get directly from the garden. And let's see, what would be one of my favorite local dishes?
Do you like spice?
Definitely.
Because I was going to say, I've had some spicy food down in Trinidad. And it was,
if you're talking about spices and heat.
Oh, yeah, spices and heat.
Yes, definitely. I have a shirt that says, I ain't eating anything without pepper on it. That's a Trini.
It's a Trini phrase?
A Trini phrase. So
I love it.
I'm definitely a spicy eater. But there are dishes that are of the East Indian heritage, but it was that originated in Trinidad and Tobago, and there's a street food called doubles. I don't know if you had that one.
What's it called?
It's called doubles because it's made of two fried light dough. It's fried but a little more greasy because it's made with ghee, greasy than let's see, maybe a pizza bread, which is a lot more dry. and it's what goes between it is curried chickpeas that's combined with different spices, and there are a couple of sauces that go on it, like a green seasoning sauce, maybe a tamarind flavored sauce, and it's definitely a must try when you come to Trinidad.
I don't know why I've never had that in all the times I've come to Trinidad. I'm gonna have to get after some of my Trinidadian athletes.
Yeah, I had a coach. I visited a coach recently, and he was when I first met him, he's like, "I've been to Trinidad. I've been there a few times, and man, one of my favorite things is doubles. I really love one of those things. So it's definitely something you have to try." Yeah.
Man, it's amazing as an athlete in an Olympic sport. You get to travel around so much, and it's a lot different than a league sport where football, basketball, baseball, soccer, whatever you want to, league wise, funding for an Olympic level athlete is not easy. I mean, you're making sacrifices to keep training, but there's not necessarily funding there as much. What is it like being an Olympic sport athlete, trying to make it and trying to make ends meet at the same time?
Yeah. Where do I begin? My journey has it's a broad question, but it's a reality that has been a barrier for many athletes. And I am aware that it's not unique to Trinidad, but athletes in the Caribbean region in general. Financial barriers have been one of the things that have been a source of exclusion for some athletes. And I've also seen where athletes come into the sport with big dreams and a great amount of potential, but the dreams are aborted prematurely because of the lack of financial resources. And while there are government and through the International Olympic Committee, there are different avenues through which athletes can access funding. There's always the additional challenge of sometimes the processing of those application and documents that cause a great delay in the release of those funds. And I have experienced that many, many times in my journey. And the thing about people, when I share, a bit more details about the challenges that surround accessing funding, and even when I reach out to corporate entities for sponsorship and that type of thing, the type of resistance that you get sometimes, they are baffled to learn the extent or the amount of sacrifice, or the amount of challenge that it is to access funding, even at the highest level in the country. But the thing that has to accompany the pursuit of greatness, or the pursuit of competing at the highest level, is a mindset that is resolved and a mindset that is resilient as well. So even though I make plans and I set out my ideal competition schedule and training schedule, some of those things don't always happen, are not always realized for lack of resources. So the willingness or the ability to be flexible or adaptable, and also to be resilient and optimistic in the light of, or in face of, those challenges, is what is really incredibly necessary for being able to get to the highest level, to actually reach even within striking distance of your goal in the Caribbean region.
What do you do? I mean, do you do things on the side? Like, I mean, do you have a full-time job? Yes. I mean, what is it swimming related?
Yes. So for me, the ways that my journey have been funded are a combination of donations, just crowdfunding. I've done GoFundMe through my last Olympic cycle. financial assistance from family and friends, those type of donations. And also I have done t-shirt sales, which I currently still have available a print for the swim community. And it represents, it's a logo that actually represents two of my greatest passions, which is the health field and swimming. So it's the heartbeat. It's a heartbeat with a swimmer on the inside. I should have worn my t-shirt this morning, but
Right, we'll make sure that we put the link in the comments and so forth, or where you could find your merch, where you can do that. Absolutely, we can do that.
Yeah, so I have done that as of starting last year to subsidize or to offset some of the expenses that I have. And in the past, I also was doing swim classes, teaching babies and infants aquatic survival skills. I am certified to teach infants
How cool would that be?
Aquatic skills. Yeah.
How cool is that?
The timing that's I'm not currently able to do that. Just with the timing of training and demands and that type of thing.
But I can imagine.
I mean, as well.
Being back in Trinidad and having an opportunity to learn swimming from an Olympian, from the country, that would be pretty cool. That would be very cool, actually. Yeah. Very cool.
It's been a pleasure for me to do that. I saw it as an avenue to really pass on this gift that I have in sport of swimming, and to really grow the awareness of the skill or the life skill of swimming that is needed in a country that is surrounded by water. It's also a necessary skill to have in the event that you find yourself in any situation like that.
Have you ever had an opportunity to do open water swimming outside the pool?
I did.
Did you ever do that?
But yeah, I tell people I'm a pool swimmer, not an ocean swimmer.
You're not trying to swim the Tobago or anything, right?
No, at all. I don't like the uncontrollable elements. I have a story where I was with my college team. We were doing a training trip in Wilmington, North Carolina, and
you went to the University of Tennessee, just so people know.
Yes, I competed for the University of Tennessee for throughout my college years. And at the beginning of each season, we would go to Wilmington, North Carolina for team bonding, intense dry land training to set the stage for our goals and visions for our team each year. And as part of our training, we were learning to surf, which has some crossover in the muscles that I use to swim out or to get out beyond the wave to start your surf. And I mean, disclaimer, I never actually picked up the skill of surfing, but we were out there just enjoying the water, and a dolphin comes into view, and we noticed that this group of dolphins were coming closer to us. My teammates started swimming towards the dolphins. They were so excited, and I hightailed out of the pool, out of the water. And my surfboard is attached to my ankle, and a wave comes behind me and turns me over and flipping under the wave. And I just remember flipping my head back, getting the water out of my eyes, and my coach is like, "Charelle, are you okay? Is everything all right?" And I'm just staggering, trying to catch my breath, and I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. But that was me getting as far away as possible from this dolphin, which is apparently harmless to humans. But that's the extent. To me, I don't want to dabble with any of these uncontrollable elements in the ocean.
Any animal, fish, bird that's bigger than what you are, I would want to avoid. That's just my personal preference.
Exactly.
Well, I want to get you out of here on this question. And you had mentioned earlier about legacy, and you said that word, stuck into my mind. Okay. What legacy do you want to leave for swimmers or swimming in Trinidad as you kind of go forward?
Yeah. I'm glad that you pulled that out. That is a big theme.
It's a big question.
It's a big question. But it's also a theme that is very dear to me, and also part of the reason why I'm in the process of setting up a foundation with that name, legacy, included in the title of the foundation. And the mission behind it is to empower athletes to realize success, individual success and significance within and beyond their sports. And the reason behind that is understanding, like I mentioned earlier, the reality that so many athletes come into the sport and they retire before realizing their full potential because of the challenges or the perceived challenges that they are faced with. And the way that they see themselves is that these challenges are insurmountable. But because of my personal experiences and also because of the awareness of my limitations, it's been amazing. By God's grace, I've been able to overcome so many different challenges and realize a dream in the first instance, representing Trinidad and Tobago at the Olympic Games in Tokyo, because of the way that I had grown to see myself and the way that I saw myself in my community. So the legacy is that athletes should be able to go through their time in the sport, whatever chosen sports they are pursuing, with the ability to give as much as they can, being supported, being assisted as they as each individual is needed, to be able to give as much as they can and gain as much as they can while they are in before they retire from their sports. And they should be able to move on from that place of competing in the sport, whatever level they get to, whether it's at the curved level or at the Olympic level. It should be a platform for them that sets them up for future success beyond their sports. Not and that is going to challenge the norm or the current or the popular narrative that athletes in the Caribbean region do this sports maybe just for fun, and they participate with based on the means that was handed to them, and it's nothing that really takes them any further outside of when they're done with their competitive careers. I hope I'm making sense.
No, that I think that is a great thing. I mean, providing opportunities for individuals and to kind of establish a standard of how the individual can make their reality or their dreams a reality.
Their reality
is a tremendous thing, man. Charelle, I appreciate having you on. You very insightful, very engaging, man. I'm all behind you for this push to Paris and 24 this summer. And I'm excited, and hopefully all of our listeners and viewers, because we're now on YouTube, are excited to follow your journey. And we'll make sure all your social media contacts, and we'll have the shirt stuff in the bio and all of that, so we can kind of continue to follow your journey from Trinidad to Paris.
Thank you. So, thank you to everyone who's listening.
Yes, you can listen to this podcast. This is Just a Cup on Believe. You can go to believe.com. You can go to Apple and Spotify, and now on YouTube. Please subscribe, like it, comment on it, share it with friends. It helps us grow. For another episode, be blessed, my friends. We're out of here.
Thank you.